after a while, we are finally going to be reviewing Summer. I can't scream. My voice is gone. And the guests that are with me today are probably going to be pretty tired too. It is early. It is noon, but we are hyped up, folks. Me and Matt went to SummerSlam this year live in person. It was an incredible experience. We'll tell you all about it. We have me, Matt, and then my roommate, Brad, who was on last week as a guest. A lot of people are working. Like I said, it is noon on a Thursday, but us three seem to be lucky not working right now. So let's get into it. Let's review SummerSlam.
Welcome to WrestleMan, the podcast. I'm Dylan Shields. We talk Raw, SmackDown, wrestling news, and some fun top lists. With that being said, ring the bell.
Let me introduce first the man that was here at Millersville during SummerSlam and apparently, I believe, had a power outage during the pay-per-view because it was storming really bad. His name is Brad. How are we doing today?
I'm doing good. I was lucky to not have a power outage, but when it rained the next day, it was out for quite a while. So I was lucky.
That's good. That's good. So, how did you enjoy SummerSlam overall? We're obviously going to review match by match, but how'd you like it?
I think I've been seeing takes that's better overall than WrestleMania. I can't even hate the take. From top to bottom, it's a great pay-per-view. Now, individual matches like the Sammy and Braun Breaker one, it's not going to be a 5-star classic by any stretch of the imagination. But I think as a pay-per-view as a whole, I think it's great. And Roman coming back, I predicted he wasn't. Thank God I was wrong. And, it really, really sealed that pay-per-view. But I'm still mad at Dominic, though. First match, seeing that, I was not ready to move on after seeing that. So
night of betrayals and great moments, indeed. Let me introduce the man that was with me at SummerSlam, and as well, we were in Conneaut together for a few other days, so we had a good time. Get ready to see his fat face because he is zoomed in on that iPhone camera. His name is Matthew Warmus.
Hey. Thanks. Trying to get a good position for me. So, sorry in advance if my voice sounds all fucked up. I can't scream out loud or go high pitch or anything like that because my voice just goes out. It's been like that since Saturday, and it's now Thursday. So
tell all the viewers here, since we went together, in terms of the seats and just the atmosphere, how was it going to a show like that live? Because you went to WrestleMania too live, so 2 big pay-per-views. So how was Saturday for you?
I will say that WrestleMania seating was better. But I think we still had good view of the matches. I mean, we also had the screens right there for us, so that was really good. We could sort of see the pyro, their entrances, because we were right behind where the entrance ramp was at, pretty much. So we couldn't see them initially come out, but we could see them walk down the aisle and all that. So other than that, I thought it was pretty good seats for what we paid for.
And the atmosphere, too, was awesome. I didn't catch on too much because I sat a little farther from you, but I think there were guys in front of us that were laughing at the jokes that you and Ian and others were coming up with. But they were entertained by you.
Yeah. It was actually, I think it was morely Mark than anyone. Because Mark was the one who kept saying stuff to me, and then he's just like, dude, stop making me laugh.
Yeah, there were a few people next to us and behind us that were seemed completely out of it, just chanting random shit. We want Big Show, we want. And I'm just shut up. You're always gonna get that out of crowds.
Hey, listen, I wanted the Giant Gonzalez to come out, so you know.
Oh God! But I actually have a sneak peek here because. Yes, I was able to pull off recording a vlog. I didn't know if I was going to do it on my phone, if it would be fully stocked with battery, charging, and everything. But I managed to do it, so let's take a look.
SummerSlam!
I've been reading Joe Hendricks. Joe Hendricks. Cause that highway to hell is the road I'm on. I need
Yes, it is released tonight at 7 p.m. on YouTube. Finally, you can see where we got from. I am so excited to release this. All right, here. So you're SummerSlam.
I'm just hearing like a straight echo, and I'm trying to like decipher what the fuck you're saying.
Yeah, you were breaking up for me, Dylan. I didn't want to say anything.
I'm not shocked at all. I'm going to let you two talk. All right, let's do the first match. It is Liv versus Rhea Ripley for the women's title. What did you think of the match overall?
First and foremost, I think the presentation was really good. You know, I can't complain. I mean, my echo is really good on your side, Dylan, right there. But anyway, I really, it was an enjoyable match, good presentation. It started out slow. I didn't really like the whole cat and mouse thing. I get it because Liv is a coward and Rhea's big and strong, but like, it started a little slow for my liking and took a while for the match to get going. And like Dominic was out, and I think they did a really good job because it's not like, oh, you know, Dominic's going to betray Rhea like that. Like when like Dominic stopped the chair shot, I mean, she would have got disqualified now with the title. So I'm like, all right. I was like into it. I'm like, maybe Dominic does care. He's like, no, focus, bitter, or something like that. I don't remember. But like, I'm like, oh, but then like, you know, Liv finished Rhea, you know, right on the steel chair, and then, you know, the kiss fucking pissed me off. But I think WWE did a really good job because I was like, oh, Dominic's not gonna betray Rhea. Come on. Like, I think they'll work it out or something like that, but nope, not at all. So kind of wrong.
Okay, so I think I might have fixed it. I apologize for the audio things. I think it has to do with me and Brad literally being right next to each other in the rooms, so it probably both echoes. But the theme here for SummerSlam is going to be more about the moments than the quality of the match itself. Not to take away from the quality, but I think it was a pretty good match. A really good way to open it up. The crowd was really hot, especially live with me and Matt cheering for Liv and the rest of the other group rooting for Rhea. So we were so happy when she retained. But yeah, it was a good back and forth. They booked it well with Rhea dominating. Yeah, the cat and mouse thing could be a little annoying, but that's kind of the point of Liv, or not Liv, but Rhea being this powerhouse. And they did a good job with Dominic, like pretending, like, "Oh, Rhea, don't hit him with the chair. Like, don't do it. Like, I want to help you." When in reality, he was just protecting Liv. And it was when Rhea originally kicked out of Liv's finisher, but then Liv hit it right away again and then won. It shocked the hell out of me because when that happened, I was like, "Man, Rhea might pull this off." But no, Liv retains. And then out of nowhere, the kiss happened, and I was like, "Oh shit!" I was expecting like the music to stop and some drama to happen, or maybe like a low blow, or Dom like hits Rhea with a chair or something. No, he just made out with Liv Morgan just like that, and for like a bit of the trailer, there was like a second of a clip when Matt's face was like, that was when that kiss happened. So let's get Matt's thoughts on this. He's got a man crush on Liv Morgan, so I know he's happy she retained. But what did you think about that?
All right, first off, I don't have a Liv crush. All right, let's get that first and foremost. Okay, Second off, I thought the match was really good. I liked how, like you said, with Dom taking the chair from Rhea, people were around saying like, "Oh, he's turning on Rhea or whatever." I'm just like, look, wait, he's doing that because if Rhea uses the chair, she's gonna get disqualified and she won't win the title. So, but then I think to me when it came apparent was when Dom got on the apron. And when Liv hit her finisher, the Oblivion, onto the chair, as soon as that happened, Dom got off of the fucking apron. And I was like, you could have still stayed on the apron or whatever to distract the ref still or whatever. But, and then I was like, okay, I think he's going to turn. And like I said in the predictions video, I said that Dom would turn on Rhea and Finn Balor would turn on Priest, and it just so happens that I was correct once again. But when Dom kissed Liv, I was like, we were all freaking out. Ian was freaking out. He's not that huge of a wrestling fan, so just a good time.
Yeah, it was definitely a very good time. And yeah, when even non-wrestling fans like Ian are going, "Oh shit, it actually happened," that's when you know they did the story well. And yeah, Matt may have called both Judgment Day turns, but I think in terms of who won predictions, I think it was like a tie or something. Like it was a bunch of way ties between like Matt, Mark, and maybe me. So I don't think anyone truly won predictions, but for the most part, we were right. I just think the Drew Punk thing we got wrong, but we'll get into that later. But let's get into the second match here of Sami Zayn versus Braun Breaker that apparently was going to be a little bit longer. I believe 12 minutes is what the reporter said was supposed to be the length of the match. Turned out to be half of that, 6 minutes. I think it was better off. I think you got to make Braun look strong and have him sort of squash, but like in a decently competitive match with Sami. That spear out of nowhere, out of the Helluva kick was amazing. And yeah, even despite stealing the shoulder, Braun won the title. I mean, easy. It was an easy prediction. There was no way Braun was going to lose twice. But Brad, what did you think of Breaker getting his moment?
Extremely happy. First off, I got every single match predicted besides the Gunther one. I just want to get that out. I'm proud of myself. Second, like Lesnar Cena squash match or anything like that. No, but I think the point is not like, oh, it needs to be like a great match or anything like that. Like Breaker has his moment in front of his dad and his uncle, the Steiner brothers, which was a little wholesome. It was. I mean, sure, Sami had a little bit of fight, but was it a classic like, oh, he's not going to die? It's going to take 20 minutes. No, it was like, that spear, though, I'm like, is that it? And then Finn, I'm like, yeah, all right. Yeah, I'm not complaining at this moment. I'm just more excited what he's going to do with this reign because I know, there's going to be some great matches in store in the future. And I'm just super excited to see that.
Yeah, I am excited to see that. I'm also excited for the glitches on your computer to stop. It happened last time. I'm not surprised. Our Wi-Fi is not the greatest when 2 devices are using it. But let's get into Matt, who somehow might have the best Wi-Fi out of all of us. Who would have thought that in the first ever when he was on? But what did you think of the match and Breaker winning?
Yeah, you want to talk about bad my Wi-Fi is all the time, and now you two are the one who has bad Wi-Fi. It looks like, All right. Anyway, so yeah, I think everyone picked Braun Breaker to win. I mean, it was kind of obvious, but I think it was just a feel-good moment. I thought for what the match was, I thought it was really good. I know some people I think thought it was going to be a squash match, which I kind of didn't want it to be because part of me was like, yeah, I get it to build Braun Breaker, but at the same time, you have to look at the fact that Sami was the one that beat Gunther. So him just getting absolutely obliterated immediately is kind of just like, okay, so how the hell did he beat Gunther when he just got destroyed by Braun Breaker? So I don't know how people would have felt about that, but I'm glad the match was longer than anticipated. They did tease it in the beginning where Braun Breaker was trying to go for the spear immediately off the get-go, but that didn't happen. So I'm glad for Braun Breaker. I think he deserves it. I don't know who's going to take the title off of him, but I'm sure he's going to have a great run, at least up until WrestleMania. But we will see about that. So overall, great match and good moment.
Yeah, I think he's holding that thing for a while. I don't know about Gunther level of long, like 666, but at least till WrestleMania. I know rumors of like him versus Cena at WrestleMania have been lingering, especially since the one title Cena's never held is the Intercontinental title. So, and maybe a Breaker win over Cena would be huge for him. We'll see, but yeah, I'm expecting great things from this title reign. I think Sammy had a pretty good run with the title. He didn't have it for too long, but he had good matches with Gable, Bronson Reed, and then Breaker. He had a pretty decent reign. I'm happy they gave him one because, yeah, I'm with Matt. If you have the guy who ends Gunther's reign just lose like in 5 seconds, that wouldn't have made him look good. So I'm happy they did the right thing here. Speaking of doing the right thing, third match, LA Knight versus the hometown hero, Logan Paul, who lost. I think in terms of matches of the night, I would put this at number 2. We'll get to what I think was the best in the moment. Oh, this match, man, was so good. If you notice, Logan Paul got dinged up a little bit, like around here in his face, like a little bit. I think it was a little bit black and blue. I think LA Knight might have like clocked him a little bit, but Logan, the ultimate professional, still kept going. That springboard into the moonsault outside the ring. Oh my God. And if you guys heard Logan Paul practice that for months, and he didn't know if it was going to pay off, and it paid off, but then Logan said, like, I'm never doing that move again. It's crazy how he had a match like that, and then the next day had Undertaker on his podcast. So that's the only time I ever watch Impulsive. But despite the freaking stupid Olympic tweets that he had to make about the Olympics, which of course he has to create controversy, I respect him in terms of his wrestling ability. And this was a great match with LA Knight. And Matt knows when that buckshot into the BFT in the cover, when he won, it was one of the louder pops of the evening. It was really, really good. You could say again predictable, but like you never know. So when he got that moment, it felt so cathartic that he won his first title. And again, just excellent match here. We'll start with the Cleveland boy, Matt, since it is your town and Logan Paul's from Cleveland. What did you think overall of the moment?
Yeah, I really love the moment. I know I talked to Ian like after the pay-per-view. That I asked him like what was his favorite like wrestling match out of all of them, and he said this was his favorite match. Coming from a non-wrestling fan, and he popped huge for that springboard moonsault. He was like, oh, he was like freaking out or whatever. But yeah, I think it's long overdue for LA Knight to win a title. And I think it was time for Logan Paul to like stop holding the U.S. title hostage. So, LA Knight should have won it, and he did. I thought it was a great match. There's something we didn't even get to talk about yet was MGK in the corner of Logan Paul, which I thought was hilarious. I thought it was going to be Jake Paul, but apparently they couldn't afford him. They spent all the money on Cody's Pyro, so they got MGK, who apparently is from Cleveland. Apparently, I didn't even know that. But yeah, he was giving him like Logan Paul the brass knucks and all that, and such a worst way possible, like he was handing them drugs or whatever. It was so weird. And I was expecting, I think Logan Paul did hit the brass knucks, and then when he was going for the buckshot lariat, I thought he was going to hit it, and then LA Knight was going to kick out, but no, LA Knight countered to his finisher, which I wasn't expecting. When that happened, I popped huge for when LA Knight won. I think everyone around us was like losing their shit when LA Knight won. So,
oh, trust me, I know we were. I knew we were. We were all rooting, and pretty much all except for Dylan O'Neill predicted LA Knight. He's the one guy who predicted Logan Paul, and he was. I don't know if he was trolling, but he was like Logan Paul, greatest U.S. champion of all time. Who cares? He's only defended 3 times. It's been around him everywhere. He took pics within the shower. It's on Impulsive every week. I'm like, who cares? He's defended 3 times. So, yeah, overall, great moment. Let's go to Brad. Knock on wood, he doesn't glitch out a million times. If he does, there's nothing we can do about it. But what did you think of the moment overall?
My last name is Wood, so do that. I was watching the match with O'Neal, and my God, man, he was stomping so hard. It's like, oh, Knuckles, this is it. No, but serious about the match. There's a few rough bumps. The one on announce table's a little but like that, like overhead suplex by LA Knight, but it kind of looked like a brain buster. I think like he didn't have enough momentum, and I thought he was going to land on his neck. I mean, LA Knight's professional, so he kind of like crawled, like kind of crouch up a little bit, kind of save his neck a little bit. But like I saw that, like, ooh, that could have been bad. But overall, I think that's like one of LA Knight's best match. Mind you, he is over 40 years old, and to see him have a good endurance, a pretty good move set, and of course Logan Paul, he's going to do that springboard, though. I was shocked, surprised, but he always does that each and every match. He always needs to have a viral moment. And, I really thought this styles were going to clash quite a bit. And I thought it'd be like a little rough, but I think overall, they were just 2 pros in the ring doing their thing. And, when Ellie and I were on, I was happy. O'Neal's like, well, look at Logan's foot. It was under the rope. Why did they call a rope break? I'm like, oh, my God. Like, I did not want to hear it. Like, he literally used brass knuckles basically every single match. I don't want to hear it. But LA Knight guys pop. Logan was just the big heel. And I don't know why O'Neal thought differently. Like, he's a hometown hero. I'm like, no. And bye, Matt. But it was overall, I was giving it a pretty good match. I think my favorite of the night by a smidge.
Interesting. I could see why it's people's favorite match of the night, quality-wise. Like you mentioned, that one superplex that almost looked like a freaking neck breaker, and Logan Paul could have broken his neck if they didn't do it properly. It was scary. I did see your text about O'Neal saying his foot's under the bottom rope. We didn't even notice that. We were so distracted by counting the 3. It's like, who cares? He got his moment. He won. But, yeah. And, yeah, just overall a great moment for LA Knight. It probably is his best match. Considering how basic his moveset is, he has to be in the ring with a certain guy to, like, have a great quality match. Logan Paul's that guy. So, yeah, it was one of their LA Knight's best matches, one of Logan Paul's best. I think it's going to be a while before we see Logan Paul back, considering the controversy he just had. His wife, I think, is pregnant. I think it's going to be a little bit till WrestleMania season for him to show up here. And I'm going to keep saying this often. I apologize for any poor quality, whether it's Brad's voice or Matt going off. Our Wi-Fi just ain't it today for some reason. It just ain't it. So I apologize.
I don't know what the fuck just happened. It was not my Wi-Fi or anything. It took me to like signing up for StreamYard, which you're on, and then for some reason it started loading OnlyFans. And then it went back to StreamYard. I have no.
Well, speaking of OnlyFans, Nia Jax. That was not a great segue, but anyway, yes, let's get into the next matchup, Bayley versus Nia Jax, which was so important that Matt and Ian went to the stands and missed the whole damn match because Matt just had to get his fat ass some more food. And he almost missed the Drew, well, not all the Drew Punk match, but he missed Seth's entrance. He came at like the very end. We were getting worried there, but he pretty much missed this whole match, him and Ian. And Matt was salty because he couldn't see Tiffany Stratton live. He's like, no, I missed it. So, too bad. In terms of Bayley Nia, the crowd was kind of dead. I had a feeling because of the LA Knight moment they'd be dead for the first part of it. But once Bayley hit that powerbomb on Nia, which was very impressive for Bayley's not the biggest person at all, and Nia, we know how huge she is. It's not easy to pull that off. The crowd got into it when she did that, hit the elbow drop. And it was overall, it was one of Nia's best matches. I think it was Bayley's best in terms of her reign. Kind of underwhelming reign. At least it went out on a good note. And then Tiffany coming in to cash in. They kind of had me for a moment thinking she was actually going to do it. But then once Bayley knocked her off, it's like, okay, it was just Tiffany trying to help out Nia. It works. Nia Jax won the championship. Matt's dream of Nia winning because Nia's just his favorite wrestler. In all seriousness, I think, Brad, you mentioned it last week that Nia should be up there with the most improved wrestlers of this year. Compare her to like 2018 or 2019 when she had the most cringy promos you will ever hear. Like, not a safe worker. We joke about that all the time, but I feel like Nia's gotten better at that, even though her finisher's a fucking bonsai drop where her ass is landing on you. So look out. But, yeah, great match. Nia deserves it. I think she could be a good monster champion to face challengers. We're going to continue that story of teasing Tiffany, cashing in. Will she? Won't she? We'll see. But, yeah, I mean, in terms of matches, this is probably going to be the most forgettable, but still a good moment for Nia to win the belt here. Let's do Matt again first and hope he doesn't get kicked out again for freaking OnlyFans. What did you missed the match, so you should barely have any input on it, but overall, what did you think, though?
Yeah. Yeah. I think we all kind of knew that Nia was going to win. So, and as much as I don't like her as much, I will say she has definitely improved a lot, like a lot of other people have been saying. But I did hear Tiffany's music when I was in line and I ran over. So when Ian was staying in the line, he was like, "Oh, go to her." He was like telling me to go to her, and I was running to see. And I looked at the entrance. I couldn't see where she was at, so I don't know if she might have just got knocked off the apron by the time I went over or something like that. But yeah, I didn't see the match that much. I did see Seth's entrance though. You said I didn't, but I actually did. Me and Ian were like, when we were just getting back, and we stayed at before we went to our level of where our seats were at, and then Ian was actually recording it, and then he told me to go head up, and that's when I went head up, and that's when I saw you guys. So I actually did get to see Seth's entrance. But yeah, I mean, there's nothing much to say about the Nia Bayley match. I feel like it was really short because it didn't feel like, when I was in line with Ian, it didn't feel like it took that long for it to be over with. So that's all I can say.
Yeah, it was like a little over 10 minutes. Not a lot. I'm happy you saw the Seth entrance, but I guess I'm a liar. It makes sense that maybe you stayed before you went up to see his entrance. Me, Troy, and Mark were just getting worried, being like, you two of all matches, this is the match you two don't want to miss. So I'm happy you really didn't miss anything, but we'll get to that match next. But Brad, what did you think about the moment for Nia? Since, like you mentioned last week, you highly regarded Nia as one of the more improved wrestlers.
I really enjoyed the match. Well, just the first part, I didn't realize it was 10 minutes. I thought 15, 20. Because, like, the crowd was dead. I keep seeing people in the stands going to the bathroom, like, all right, this is the bathroom break match. It was slow, you know. I mean, I like Bailey, don't get me wrong. I don't think she's the best wrestler in the ring, but she could definitely work with a good variety of people. So that's kind of her thing. That's kind of her role. That's why she's a better like challenger than a champion. But like ever like that suplex, so I thought Bailey was just gonna put it down, but carrying like a few steps, like I don't know how loud it was at the arena, but it was loud. That was a pop. And me and O'Neal were like freaking the fuck out because we did not expect that from Bailey. She's a tiny little thing, but now I got a moment. Tiffany, came out. I really thought she was going to cash in, but it was a bit of a distraction. Bailey just yeeted her off, but Nia had a moment. I really enjoyed her like kind of response in the press conference, like way after the pay per view, and now we got like. They're two of besties, Nia and Tiffany. So I'm kind of curious what's going to be like because they seem buddy, but I wonder what storyline's going to be. Maybe it'll be who knows? Who knows? But Nia had a moment. I'm really happy. I mean, the two, I don't know what the finisher's called. Basically, the big body. Like, who cares about the most technical finisher? She's a big ass. Like, come on now. Like, that's effective enough. So, kill Bailey, basically, and won the title, and I'm just curious who's going to get challenges are. And I just hope it'll be a pretty decent reign. I think Nia needs to solidify herself as a star, and I think this really do it's definitely a redemption night for her.
Yeah, her hole apparently is her finishing move now. It went from my hole to my finisher, and I'm going to sort of drop my ass onto you and win. So, Yokozuna-esque. So, yeah, probably like I said, maybe the most forgettable or one that you're not going to leave SummerSlam being like, oh my god, what a match. But still, it was good. There were no really duds. All the matches at least delivered in some way. There were no incredible match of the year to me stuff, but there wasn't any stinkers too. So I think that's the theme of that night. It's more about moments than matches. Speaking of moments, the most hyped up match in SummerSlam, Punk versus McIntyre with Seth as a special guest referee. A lot of mixed reviews. A lot of controversy. Yes, nice shirt, Matt. And shout out to this shirt here. I think most of us got this. This is the SummerSlam shirt. Let me turn around because it says, I was here. It's a very nice shirt. It was either that one or the basic ass SummerSlam logo. I'm like, I'm choosing this one all day. And then I know we should be talking about the match, but the souvenir cups. I think O'Neal showed it in the Money in the Bank review. The souvenir cup was a nice WrestleMania one with all the superstars and everything. Fucking Cleveland just had the Browns. Didn't even have a SummerSlam souvenir cup. I'm like, what a ripoff. I'm not getting that. I'm just getting a shirt. So the one Matt showed is one he got, his freaking, third CM Punk shirt. So, yeah, to the match itself, like I said, a lot of, negative and positive. A lot of people were saying, oh, it didn't live up to the hype and expectations, a little slow. A lot of people loved the storytelling of the match. A lot of people thought the bracelet thing was a little ridiculous, but a lot of people praised it. I'm on more the positive side. The crowd was into it. I think the match delivered. First of all, people want to shit on Punk. It's his first match since the Rumble. I don't think you should be expecting an absolute Punk Cena Money in the Bank 2011 type of match. That's not what it's meant to be. It's meant to be more about the storytelling aspect, especially with Seth as the guest referee here. And yes, there might have been a few clunky or slow moments or moments where they're just kind of milking it to have Punk catch a breath. But what the fuck did you expect? I mean, he's in his late 40s. He's been injured so many times. Of course they're going to slow him, like, take it slow. I mean, I'm into those type of matches. I think it's only going to get better in terms of the Punk Drew, probably trilogy, possibly add Seth in there. I think the matches can only get better, and I think it honestly exceeded my expectations. I was expecting maybe more clunky moments and moments where I do notice people, I think especially some of my friends, every time Punk took a bump, it's like, oh no, is he okay? Is he okay? Can he continue? And luckily he could. I think it delivered. I think the bracelet thing, people being negative, I think is stupid. I understand it's a bracelet, but do you know what it's like to have something of sentimental value? That's what it means. Like, yeah, it's plastic, but it means everything to Punk. I think it was a great use of storytelling. I loved when Seth had it on because he picked it up and put it on, but Punk noticed, and Punk's like, what the hell are you doing? That was awesome. Punk trying to get it back from Drew, but then Drew hit a Claymore right away. And then the very end, when Punk and Seth were going at it, what sucked from the crowd was we couldn't hear what they were saying. You could only hear it on Peacock, but then I went back and watched. The stuff Seth was saying throughout the match, first of all, at the beginning, were hilarious. I don't know if you noticed the referee cam. There was a short on YouTube with Seth as the ref, like joking around. When he couldn't pin Drew, he like didn't even get a 1 count. Seth's like, come on, a suplex ain't gonna beat him. Come on, you said you were gonna kill him. That was pretty comical right there, but the very end when Seth's like, this is my rules, my ring, my company. We don't want you here. And then he said, not everything's about you, asshole. And his GTS right away. That was awesome. And then the low blow, the Claymore, the win for Drew, the one match I did not predict right. But I'm not mad about it at all. You could definitely make a case that Drew needed it more. I think Brad said it. Drew's gotten fucked over so many times. You had to give him his heat back to probably keep the feud going. And honestly, the match was a little shorter than I expected. I was expecting 25, 30 minutes, considering it's a big match. It probably wasn't even 20 minutes, but I think that was a good thing because it didn't tire the crowd out. Seth as a special guest ref, I think, was a good layer to add to the story. I know I'm riffing here, but I'm just I love this match. I love this match so much. I don't think it's the best match of the night, but I think it delivered, and I think people being negative about it can screw off, fuck off. I understand you guys have opinions, but I think people just want to spite CM Punk too much. Brad, what did you think, though, about this hyped as shit match?
Punk was a little bit sluggish, but he did get injured. I'm very happy about that. Again, it's not 2011. He is an old man, really. He's almost 50 right now. And Drew, I think he's early 30s. So, he's in the prime. But I think they really have relied too much on the bracelets and the story. I think, but yet again, you're not going to get a 5-star classic out of them, too. But I think overall it was a pretty good match. Very heated. Seth was a great special guest referee. Just letting them beat each other outside the ring and just watch. I think it was great, and it was kind of brutal just seeing Drew just pulling around Punk like when he was under the ring and he just like pulled up. I never seen that before ever, and that was like brutal. I'm like, oh, all right, taking notes of that. That was pretty cool. But again, CM Punk's not in his prime. I think they had a pretty decent match. Again, Seth could have counted, Punk could have won. So you always have like stuff like that. But Drew, as I said, he definitely needed the victory. And like after the match, where he kissed the bracelet of like Punk's corpse, I think that was a pretty cold moment. This feud can last till WrestleMania, and that's the thing. If this feud was not really heated, not really good, this match will maybe not be a dud, but definitely not that good. But since it's like so intense, and we have a 3-way love triangle or hate triangle, honestly, between them, I feel like Drew needs Punk's attention while Punk just hates Seth. We saw that but I think overall it's a pretty decent match. I'm glad it didn't main event WrestleMania. I think it'll be more of a dud, especially when Roman come back. But I cannot complain at all with this match at all. I think it did its job. I'm excited where it's going to go. It's like it's good. The feud's still heating up, and it needed to be.
Yeah, I definitely see why it wasn't the main event. Not even just because you didn't know how good it was going to be with Punk. It was because Drew won. You don't want to really end the night on a bad guy. One of the biggest bad guys in the company being one of the biggest good guys. But let's get to Matt here. What did you overall think of the match?
All right, so first off, this is the only match I got wrong. I picked Punk for this, and this was the downfall of me. I think me and Mark only got one wrong, but he got the whole Gunther Priest match wrong. So I will say that I understand why when Punk had the bracelet on, or Seth had the bracelet on and Punk saw him wearing it, I could see why Punk was pissed, but I think Seth was just holding it as like a safekeeping. I don't think he meant to hold it as like, I'm gonna be a dick to you. I think he was just holding on to it just because like as the match was going on, he didn't want to get lost or anything like that. I did get something right in this prediction that I don't think a lot of you remember, but I said that Punk would not get injured in this match. And I was right. So if you want to add that to the list. But yeah, I thought it was a really good match. I got to see Punk live for the first time ever, and I was extremely excited. And yes, I do have my third CM Punk shirt on. The t-shirt selections that we saw were kind of ass. There was a Cody one, but it said Cleveland Nightmare, which it was bad. So I just went with the CM Punk shirt because this design's actually pretty cool. I like it. So, but yeah, I was upset CM Punk lost. I think he should have won his first singles match back, but at the same time, I can understand why Drew won. I did hear reports saying that there are plans for Drew McIntyre versus Seth at Bad Blood in a Hell in a Cell match, which I think makes sense. I know Punk said a while back in an interview saying that he wouldn't be doing a Hell in a Cell match, but at least not for like the first match. But I could definitely see that happen at Bad Blood. And I could see like Cody Rhodes doing a whole First Blood match thing or something like that, and something along the lines of that or whatever. So overall, I thought this match was good. There was a lot of good points. I think I recently read about that Seth's actually injured again, or still injured or something. So they had Bronson Reed attack him on Monday Night Raw, I guess, as a way to write him off. So who knows?
Yeah, he killed that man. He literally too many murders here on Raw. Too many. Adam Pearce is a freaking stooge. He's a GM. McAfee's right, but yeah, I think I keep saying it, but it delivered. Punk definitely won. It looked like he tanned a little bit. He was a little more tan than usual, and a little bit buffer than usual. So he probably couldn't move like as fast as like his prime years. But like I said, there's different matches for everybody. The LA Knight Logan Paul match might have been more about quality and great moves. This was more about story. So I think all of us agree that it delivered, and great first patch for Punk. Great to see him live. Let's go to what I think is the best match of the night. And it is Damian Priest versus Gunther for the world title. And we got a new champion. Me, Matt, and Troy called it. Everybody else picked Priest for some reason. I understood it. Yeah, I think in terms of quality, this was the best match. But before we get to the match, Matt, this was the one match where the freaking lights were up our ass. this was the match where the lights were so bright on us, I could at least see the ring from where my seat was, but the rest of them could not see. It was so bad, and they were... I don't know, Brad, if you heard it. I think when I went back to watch the match, it was a little quiet, a chance, but they chanted, "We can't see shit, turn the lights off." When they dimmed them, we're like, more. And then there was a big pop when they finally did, but... Yeah, now you can get your 2 cents on it, too, about what the fuck is WWE doing with these lights?
Yeah, I got WrestleMania PTSD from that when I was in my seat because the lights were blared right in our faces every time they did introductions for title matches. But yeah, the light was very distracting. I mean, the light was like right above the ring. I couldn't even see the ring of them actually wrestling in, and then the monitor there that was right next to the light, I couldn't see anything. And I later at some point, like even when they dimmed the lights down, I couldn't see anything because I just saw like a black like spot, like just in the middle of the ring and stuff. So I couldn't see anything. But yeah, the crowd was like, "Turn the shit off," and I was screaming that too. I mean, I was next to Mark and Ian, so they both were just like, "Turn the fucking light off." I can't see anything and all that. And so, yeah, I mean, yeah, the crowd was, there was a big pop when they started like dimming the lights off, but we kept wanting more and more. And I think either it was Gunter or it was Priest that like looked up when like the crowd was cheering. I think it was Gunter, but like the crowd was like cheering when they finally turned the light down. Gunter's just like looking around, like not knowing what the fuck's going on. But yeah, that happened. As for the match, I knew Gunter was going to win. I loved the ending of this match. I called the whole Priest turning on, or Balor turning on Priest, and betraying him. I actually just rewatched a SummerSlam clip that apparently Priest didn't even know until he saw the replay that Finn put the leg on. And then when he turned around, that's when Finn made his like slow turn and the evil face or whatever. And, Priest was still fighting even after that. And then my man's grabbed the fuck out of Finn Balor, trying to like choke him to death. And, Gunter got the upper hand and Priest passed out. And I thought, people were always talking about how he was like a placement champion when he became champion. I was like, nah, they're going to drag him out to SummerSlam at least, especially when Gunter won King of the Ring. And I was just like, okay. It was a matter of how this match was going to go, because I was like, okay, I think Gunter's definitely going to win, but I hope they make Priest look very strong at the end of this, which I thought they did. Because not only he had to deal with Gunter, but he also had to deal with Finn, and he got distracted. Like, Priest technically won, but because Finn put the leg on the ropes, Priest didn't win, and then Priest got blindsided with like rage for Finn or whatever. And so I thought they made Priest look very strong. Even though he lost the championship, I think they made him look really strong. I know he's not going for the world title right now immediately, but I think that makes sense because he's dealing with Finn and the rest of the new Judgment Day. So overall, I would say this was probably one of my favorite matches out of the card. So yeah, I had a really fun time watching this. I was also having a really bragging to you. I was having a real fun time bragging to all you guys for what.
Oh God, you wouldn't stop saying, "I called it, Judgment Day 3.0, I called it." Yeah, you kind of nailed that on the head. But yeah, in terms of the match itself, like I said, when the light thing was happening, the crowd was kind of quiet besides that for the first few parts of the match because they were just getting going. But once Finn came out I think that's when the crowd started to get into it. That's when we could actually fucking see the ring, at least when I could. So that's when it got really good. And ironically, Gunther's chest was the one bleeding. And I don't know how the hell that happened because they were saying, oh, it was from the Finn match on Raw. I'm like, that was Monday. It's Saturday. Like, I don't know if, like, he ran into something, like the entrance thing, similar to, like, Styles when, if you remember, he bonked his head off the Dallas thing for the Edge match, and that's why he was cut. I thought it would be something like that. But yeah, by the end of the match, Gunther's chest was the one that was fucked up, not Priest. I guess wearing a singlet gives you an advantage. It was funny when Priest, like, took the straps down. I'm like, no, dude, no. He's going to chop you. Keep him up, man. Keep him up. It's strategy. But it's my personal favorite match of the night. I think it was the match of the night. Just because, like, Gunther matches always deliver, like, these big hoss fights, big men slapping man meat. I think it delivered. I really think it did. For the spot it was in, too, between the hyped-up Drew Punk match and then the main event of Cody Solo with Roman returning, I was a little bit nervous that the crowd wasn't going to care about this or be a little tired. By the end, they were into it. They were cheering for Priest and booing Gunther. We were like one of the few fans that actually cheered for Gunther. And, yeah, like Matt said, the ending was so good. They got me when Finn... Well, first of all, I loved that they had Priest look at the screen first, and that's how he found out that Finn did. So I'm happy they're actually, the wrestlers are acknowledging the outside world. They're acknowledging the screens when they never have over the years. That was pretty cool timing. But when Gunther had the sleeper on first, when Finn turned on him, and Priest still fought back and rolled him up, I'm like, oh my God, Priest is actually going to still retain despite Finn turn. When's the last time we've had a heel turn, but the guy who got turned on still overcame it? So the crowd would have, they would have went nuts if that was 3. But yeah, Gunther just like goozling Finn right after, like not even focusing on Gunther's like, I'm gonna whoop Finn's ass, and then Gunther powerbombing him and winning. What an ending! What a match! Yeah, a lot of people, including Matt, called it in terms of Finn turning on Priest. Doesn't mean it was a bad thing. It was a very good moment just of the Judgment Day, at least 2.0 falling between Dominic and Finn. And we'll talk about Raw in a few minutes that I think Judgment Day had one of the better segments on Raw this year. And yeah, this just continues to build to it. And I'm excited for Gunther as champion. And like I mentioned for Raw, we'll talk about who Gunther's first opponent is, which is very interesting. But yeah, match of the night for me. Right winner. I'm happy they kept Priest really strong. But despite that, Gunther wins the title. Brad, final guy here. What did you think of it?
My bisexual icon has lost, man. But he did look strong, so I can't really complain too much. I think it was a phenomenal match, and Gunther didn't realize he was bleeding until he looked at the Titantron and he saw it, oh, he wiped the blood. But seeing that, it just made as y'all said before, it made Damian so tough. I think this reign, I was worried about him, but I think this reign really made him a top star. And I think we can put that away. He looks strong, especially when Finn turned on him, and I thought Priest was gonna win right after that. It's no way. Right, what I wanted Priest to win, but we got Finn turning, we got Judgment Day 3.0. I can't really complain too much. I was screaming at the TV when Finn did that. Oh my, I was fuming at Finn. Love him though, but fuming. But I think overall this was a pretty great match. I didn't hear the crowd say "shut off the lights." I saw TikToks about it, but didn't hear anything. But don't have any time to fix that. I feel like every time I go to the stadium, there's just always one incident where that happens every single time. It can't be that hard. But I'm excited what the Judgment Day is going to do. And I think this future feud between Damien and Finn could go either way because Damien did not want Finn on ringside. He wanted to be on his own, to be his own man, and doesn't need any help. While Finn kind of sees as like, well, family will always there for each other. He's like a supporter. Like when Damien accidentally screwed Finn, I think was a bit pissed because like you gotta be there, you gotta support him. So this is like a good type of feud where like it can go either way, and you can kind of see the reasoning on both sides because Damien didn't really care much about the Judgment Day. Like, oh my god, like JD Madonna, like how many times Priest just yells at him like oh my god, like a little kid. And, but like when you see Finn, he's always try to be there for the faction. So I don't know. I'm just excited where that's going to end up. I think it's going to be great. I think this is really good for Finn as well. I'm a big Finn guy. He was the leader of the best run of the Bullet Club, which is arguably one of the greatest factions ever. Argue with Wall. I don't care about the MWO or anything like that. Like second iteration Bullet Club. So I'm excited to see him at the helm and see what he can do. I think Liv is a part of the Judgment Day as well. So like that's gonna be interesting. Obviously with Dominic. Oh my god, I saw a video of like the new Judgment Day getting off the bus and like Dominic flip off the camera. God, he's a great heel. He's a great heel. I think I don't know. This was a great match. It did start off slow. Big men slapping big meats. I'm not the biggest fan of that. I'm more of a flips and tactical wrestling type of guy. But I'm definitely going through it as well. It's going to have a great lane. I wonder what Imperium's going to be. Who knows? I feel like they're slowly becoming irrelevant, which kind of makes me sad because I like them, especially in NXT. But yeah, I think we got a lot of good moments out of this, and it's going to build up to a lot of great stuff on both ends.
Yeah, I think they did a great job making all the Judgment Day turns make sense. It makes sense that Finn has it out for Priest because Priest was the one who hated McDonough, but Finn brought McDonough in last year in the Judgment Day. And I also saw Finn's post. I've waited 1 year for this because you costed me the title. So Finn was tag champs for Priest, but he had this plan for 1 year that he was going to turn on him at the same place Priest screwed him over. So, yeah, just great storytelling overall. It makes sense, too, with Finn taking the key from Liv Morgan since Finn and JD seem to be more on Liv's side. So I'm excited for this new Judgment Day. They already have a lot of heat, and Priest and Rhea being the badass emo type people that people love. I think a mixed tag match is coming pretty soon too, so I'm very excited for what the Judgment Day is going to have. I mean, I know the one criticism could be is that moment overshadowed Gunther's win. I mean, maybe a little bit it did, but not by much because it gave Gunther. It just gives more heat to Gunther that he won this way. And it wasn't like a Roman match where like his faction interfered himself to win the match. This had nothing to do with Gunther. Gunther still knocked Finn off the apron and everything. Gunther really probably honestly didn't even want to win like this. So yeah, it just again builds more fuel to the fire for someone to want to beat Gunther, and the Judgment Day feud has just been so good. Main event time, though. Cody versus Solo for the undisputed title. Cody's 10-minute long entrance with the return of Arn Anderson. He's going to pull the Glock out. I wish Arn would have said that. That would have been funny, but it was great to see Cody's entrance live and do the whoa. Pretty much the only entrance that had pyro, considering how much WWE's kind of freaking dropping. I think it's because of TKO. They're kind of not doing pyro as much for shows, which sucks. But Cody never disappoints. He's going to push for that pyro no matter what, and that was amazing to see. In terms of the match itself, crowd was pretty quiet for a lot of it until all the BS happened, which seemed to be a thing for the majority of the matches. Once Tonga and Loa came out, And then KO and Orton helped save Cody. The crowd was into it. And then Solo kicked out of a crossroads, which I was shocked at when they all like helped Cody out. But even then, the crowd was they were just waiting for Roman. I could tell they were just waiting. They didn't really, not gonna say they didn't care, but they cared more about Roman coming out than the match itself. Because there were some near falls that happened that I was trying to still be into the match, but you could tell it was like Cody wasn't losing. He's kicking out, and Roman's coming out soon. Before Roman, though, when Fatu came to help Cody, he did a splash through the table, and he was selling his leg, but he was trying to get up and he couldn't, and Matt and I were like looking at our friends being like, is this legit? This looks legit, like that he's actually hurt, because he was pissed. He was like throwing chairs and punching the wall. He didn't seem happy. I know a lot of people said, oh no, he's just selling it because they don't want him and Roman to interact yet, which by the way, if Roman Rock's not happening at WrestleMania next year, do Roman Fatu. That's the freaking match you need to do next year at WrestleMania. So I'm happy. I am happy that they didn't do that yet. You want to protect Fatu and save that stare down for later. It looked legit, though, because there were pictures of him in a walking boot. So it would suck if they'd have to. I don't think they're going to relinquish it. I can easily just see, like, oh, Tonga Loa, now you're a tag team champion. So they'll just give it to him. And now the brothers will actually be a tag team rather than just throwing Tonga Loa to the side for Fatu. But wish the best for him because I really hope that he's okay. But in terms of Roman coming back, it's funny because in the video, that's the one video I already posted on YouTube of Roman's return. I was acting like it wasn't going to happen. I was like, oh my God, he's here. It's like we all fucking knew he was going to be here. What are you talking about? But we still went nuts to it. A lot of people, I'm surprised they haven't said this. They're like, oh, Roman came out to a new theme. It was the theme from WrestleMania 40. I don't remember anybody in like professional like reviews saying that. They're just saying remix. It's like he came out to this at 40 with the whole orchestra and everything, and it was amazing. I know a lot of people said, I don't know about that, but it makes sense considering the original theme sounds more heelish, but maybe this remix sounds more like God mode, but more of a babyface type theme. It's just that. But that's just minor nitpicking for people. But yeah, when Roman came out, we went nuts. When the pop when the music hit was one thing, but when he punched Solo, that was 100% the loudest reaction of the night by far. They were going nuts. The ooh-ah was so good. Never thought in a million years I'd think Roman would help Cody. I don't think Roman and Cody are exactly going to be allies or friends. It's just more mutual respect, kind of like the enemy of my enemy is my friend type thing. A lot of people are comparing like Roman's the Batman to Cody's Superman, which kind of makes sense. But a babyface Roman is so good. I know there's been rumors about it for a while that like the long-term plan is to turn him babyface. And Triple H sticking it to his father-in-law, a big one final FU to Vince is, hey, I could actually get Roman over as a babyface unlike you. And guess what? He did it. My God. And then Cody retains. This great way to end the show. Yes, Cody Solo by itself, if Roman didn't come out, it's not a SummerSlam main event. But I think Roman's return like made up for like the fact that maybe people weren't as interested in this. Because if Roman's returning after months, it's got to be last. So I enjoyed it. To see it live was special. To see a return like that like besides like going to a Rumble pay-per-view, you're not really ever going to see that. Not even in WrestleMania Night 1 when Matt went. There weren't really any returns or anything. So the fact that we got to see a return like that's something you got to hold special to your heart. And I've made it well known that Roman's still my guy in terms of favorite wrestlers. I just love the way he tells stories no matter how much people get tired of him. So I'm still excited to see this new bloodline. Obviously, we're going towards a War Games match, which I'm pumped for, into WrestleMania season. It's going to be amazing. I hope Cody doesn't feel too overshadowed. I don't know if, since Orton now's going after Gunther somehow, I wonder if we're doing maybe a Cody Kevin Owens feud. I can easily see Kevin Owens being pissed at Cody, being like, why are you like liking Roman now? Like, why are you and Roman teaming up? Or why are you okay with Roman? Like, I hate Roman. I've been feuding with him for years. I could see that being the catalyst for a KO like heel turn and him and Cody feud. I don't know. I think Cody might be done with the bloodline, at least maybe until War Games where he joins them. So I don't know where we're going for Cody, but in terms of the bloodline stuff, I'm so pumped for it. But Matt, what did you think about this main event?
Yeah, I think when the match, since the match started, everyone was chanting, "We want Roman," and it was clearly obvious. Everyone was waiting for it. When Owens and Orton came out, there was big pops for both of them. I do think that Jacob Fatu did get injured. Because it was a thing where he immediately, I think I kind of immediately knew that he got actual hurt because he immediately, when he went through the table, grabbed his ankle. And like you said, he threw a wheelchair and everything, and he tried to get up and he like collapsed. So I think that is very unfortunate because now we have to see Tongaloa as tag champ. I'm sure he's going to get pinned immediately. He can't even defend it, right? Or whatever. He'll botch that or whatever. But I think it was clearly obvious that Cody was going to win. Glad he did. It was really nice to see Arn Anderson. I was actually not expecting him to see him, but it made sense. And I wish Arn Anderson would have went like, all right, they made it bloodline rules. Here you go. He pulls out the Glock for Cody. So it's like, if that big fat fuck Jacob Fatu comes near you, shoot his ass. Or something like that. But yeah, Cody winning made sense. I am pumped up for Survivor Series because I think they are going to do the new Bloodline versus the old Bloodline War Games. If they don't, I'd be really shocked. But I could see. I could see something maybe happening at Bad Blood, maybe as like, but I don't think Roman will be there. But I know something will happen with the Bloodline and Bad Blood, but yeah, Cody winning was kind of obvious. It was the closer, last match of the event. Got really pumped for Roman's return at the end, so that was probably the best send off you could possibly do. So I understand why they made that as the main event. Yeah, pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, pretty much paid by numbers, pretty much. Like, you knew Cody was going to win, but it was still awesome to see, even if we all saw it coming. Brad, what did you think about the moment in Roman's return? Because you were one of the few that didn't think it was going to happen.
I'm really glad that it did, though, because it really completed the pay-per-view. Side note, I don't know why it's hated, but I like Solo Sikoa's theme. I think that's a good Def Rebel theme song. I stand by that. Most of them suck, but I don't know. Wow, 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 wow. It just, I don't know, it goes hard. It gets me pumped. Good at the gym. Good at the gym, though. I'll tell you that much. Okay, anyway, about the match. A lot of interference, I was hearing like a bunch of yeet, yeet, yeet in the crowd. I'm like, all right, maybe I'll be right. Maybe it'll be just Jey Uso instead of Roman. But glad I was wrong. Roman came back. Got Randy and KO, and the pop on the TV was pretty good at that. Seeing him injured, like his ankle on the table, like I thought it was like he was just selling it because he was like, throwing a bunch of like chairs around and all. I'm like, all right, stop being dramatic, man. If you're injured, you would have been down. But no, I was watching the press conference afterwards, and Triple H said he was getting scanned and hope it's nothing serious. So seeing him in the boots, who knows? Maybe they're playing safe. Hopefully he's not injured because like I think they need a good reign with the tag titles to get the bloodline a little more legitimate. So, but I don't know. I think we got Roman coming back, and that's basically it. It didn't really need to do too much. The match was all right. I'll tell you one thing though. Solo Sikoa has such a limited move set. I forgot one move, but he did the one. It wasn't like a finish or anything, but he did the one move. I think it was like a small drop or something, like 3 times. And I'm like, okay, like come on, you're in the main event, and like you're not old or anything like that. It's one thing you're old, and you just can't do it like wrestle like you can, but like you're supposed to get better. Like you gotta have some diversity here, and that's why I just don't like. I like a bit pure wrestling, and he's just not that. He's a bona fide mid carder, and I think all of us know that deep down inside. It just makes me just a little upset he couldn't like try something more, make it a little more believable. Because I'm just saying, man, he got carried because of Roman. This whole match, if Roman didn't come back, it would have been a dud. Dud as an expectation. I think the match will be all right, but like for a main event, nothing. So the match did what it was supposed to do, and I'm excited for the War Games for Bloodline. It's gonna be great. The Bloodline storyline keeps pumping though. It's gonna be great. Um, Cody though, I think he's in a little rough position. I think that little stare down was great, and he mentioned this at the press conference. I noticed this, but when he was showing the title Roman, he did like tap 3, as in they were gonna want to fight for the 3rd time. So I'm like, all right, a little subtle, a little nice. I kind of like that. So he said during the press conference, like, well, he's due a rematch, and it will happen eventually. And I think that'll be sick when it does. Hopefully not another WrestleMania though. Give like one of the lesser pay-per-views something. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I think we keep saving the big matches for big pay-per-views. I think we gotta like diversify a little bit. Get a good like 5-star match here and there on a good premium live event. So, but that's my take.
I think in terms of Roman Cody 3, because I know they were teasing that. I think if you want to do that, the roles need to be reversed to be interesting. Because Roman clearly is a babyface now. And people have been talking about, oh, we'd love to see Cody turn heel. I feel like if we want to do Roman Cody 3, I feel like it's got to be Roman as the face and Cody as the heel. I'm not really interested in another face Cody, heel Roman type match. They have great matches. I get it. It's 1-1. They have to settle it. I think it's more down the line, couple years from now, when we might get the 3rd iteration, maybe Rock Stone Cold-esque. I honestly could see it in another WrestleMania. I know, Brad, you're not the biggest interest in it, but I really think they're trying to make this the next Rock Stone Cold in terms of when they feud, it's iconic, but when they are teaming together, which we might see soon, they're elite. They're like the super team. I think that's what Cody and Roman are destined to be. So I can easily see that. And with The Rock and Stone Cold, they always had like 1 year Rock was the heel. The next Mania, Stone Cold turned heel. The final encounter, Rock was the bad guy. That's what made their matches so interesting. So I think you have to have a different iteration of face and heel dynamic between the two in order to make it interesting. Because if you do another just Cody defends it against Roman, you're risking people rooting for Roman and booing Cody as a good guy. You don't want that. You want people to root for Cody to still be champion. And that was the thing about Solo that at least made sense. Maybe his moveset's limited compared to like Fatu, but you didn't want Solo to win the belt. You didn't like Solo as the tribal chief because that was the point. He's a phony. So we want to root for Roman to come back and kick this guy's ass, but we want to root for Cody to win or retain the title. You don't want to risk Cody facing guys that you want to beat Cody. You want Cody to be facing legitimate heels. I think Cody's holding that belt till Mania 100%. I don't see him losing it for a while. I said it in the predictions video. The only guy who makes sense right now to beat him for it is The Rock. I know Orton's another name, but I don't see Orton. I see Orton putting over Cody. I don't see Orton taking the title, especially with the longer range Triple H wants. I definitely think a possibility of The Rock being champion is possible because The Rock pitched it this year to beat Roman. And I think this iteration of the final boss into this new bloodline and possibly maybe winning the title can at least be interesting. I am wondering where The Rock fits into all of this. The fact that he wasn't at SummerSlam, I was wrong about that. I don't think we're seeing him until next year, probably. I think he's got Moana too. I believe he's filming like a live action thing. So I think that's pretty much it for the rest of the year. So I don't expect to see him in War Games. Probably the first Raw on Netflix would be my bet to when we see him again. So to hype up the Cody feud. But yeah, I am excited for Cody to continue his champ and the Bloodline stuff. I will say it was a much better main event moment than Roman J was last year. Because compare that to like when Jimmy turned heel and people were like, the fuck? Like, that makes no sense. And the main event was kind of a dud, kind of slow. This year, I think, was a lot better in terms of just like a good way to end it than last year. So, yeah, overall, we'll have your both opinions. But I think it was, to say, like, I know people obviously have recency bias, best SummerSlam of all time. Me and Matt will probably be biased because we went live, and it's different to grade stuff live than in person. I do think it was one of the better SummerSlams in recent history. I would probably put it in the top 10, honestly. I just think in terms of moments like the Judgment Day's fall and Roman's return and Punk finally having a pay-per-view match, it's hard to beat that. And the crowd overall, I know maybe in some moments it was quiet, like the main event has a lot to do with the fact that it's an open-air stadium too, so that's why. But the crowd was there for most of it. I feel like the moments this year were really good. So I think it delivered. I think it was a really good SummerSlam overall. But the other guy who was in person with me, Matt, what do you think? Do you think this year was like a top 10 type pay-per-view?
I'm not sure if I would say top 10 pay-per-view, but I would definitely say that it was definitely one of the better SummerSlams in the last couple of years. I do think it was way better than last year's SummerSlam. And I'm not just saying it because I'm biased because I was there this year at SummerSlam, and that was in Cleveland. But no, I really think, the Punk Drew match in itself, I feel like could just carry the pay-per-view. You put on top of that with the whole Priest and Finn, break up, the whole Rhea and Dom break up for him choosing Liv. You add the whole Roman return in to take his spot back. There was so many good moments. A lot of title changes. LA Knight finally got a moment, and Logan Paul finally lost. He doesn't have to hold the title hostage now, and even with, I would say like the lowest point of this pay-per-view was Bayley versus Nia. But with that being said, like everything else seemed very important. Like, and I get that because 2 years from now, they're going to be making SummerSlam 2 nights. So they're trying to treat it as WrestleMania now. And that's what they kind of essentially just did. I feel like at this pay-per-view, they're trying to establish this as just as good as WrestleMania for when it goes to 2 nights. So overall, I thought this was a very good pay-per-view. Even Evan and Ian, who are not that all wrestling fans that don't follow everything, they love this pay-per-view. And there was something we didn't even talk about that we forgot. And that was Jelly Roll. For when he chokeslammed Austin Theory, and then that was Ian and I think that was Evan's favorite part of the pay-per-view or whatever. But everyone had a good time, even the non-wrestling, hardcore wrestling fans or anything like that. So I feel like overall it was a really good pay-per-view. I could say that I liked it more than night 1 of WrestleMania. I know I wasn't there for night 2. But I think I could make a good argument that it was better than night 1. So,
well, you weren't freezing your ass off at SummerSlam, so I think that makes a big difference. But Yeah, you can make a case. I know people were trying to say this was better than WrestleMania. I don't know if I'd go that far. Maybe night one, like Matt said, but night two, my God, the moments they had, including like Cody finishing the story. It's hard for me to like put SummerSlam above that. I would probably put it as number two this year, behind WrestleMania as a whole in terms of pay-per-views this year. So that's good for WWE to have two of your biggest shows deliver overall. But Brad, what did you think in terms of like a top 10 SummerSlam pay-per-view? Would you agree? Would you disagree, since you were the one that watched from home?
I will agree. It's definitely a top 10 SummerSlam. I think what carried the SummerSlam is more the stories than the matches. And I like a good wrestling match. I like a good like 5-star classic. I just enjoy that. But I think it did its job. I think it exceeded my expectations a little bit, especially the Drew and CM Punk one. I had low expectations because I guess like the last episode, like, oh, what, Punk gets injured, man. Then like I'm gonna be one, I'm a big CM Punk guy. I'll be depressed, and two, Punk is old. There's nothing you can get away around that. You know, but I think you can definitely argue is like a top 10, top 5 pay per view in terms of like Triple H booking so far. I think I like that Triple H is doing a longer title reigns. I mean, he knows the thing of longer title reigns. Look at the Reign of Terror in the early 2000s. Like he knows his stuff. So I like it better than like when the title's just getting like passed around like an old girl. So I don't know. In terms, I don't know. But then when I didn't know it was going to be 2 nights in 2 years, and I was kind of mixed on that. I'm like, and to me, I guess the problem is with SummerSlam, I think it's a bit too close to WrestleMania. The other thing you could do, like, what makes Survivor Series like 2 nights or something like that. No, you're not. That's a dumb take. But I just kind of hope it works out. I know it's going to be, they're trying to push it to be as big as WrestleMania. As you said, it's great that this pay-per-view lives up to expectations because I felt like in years past, like the bigger pay-per-views just tend to be like letdowns. Like there's just so many like WrestleManias just kind of especially the main events where Rick Roman was the face and all that. The dark ages really. So I just hope that they can continue to be on a good roll. So we got a lot of good moments. Top 10 SummerSlam to be safe. Top 5, not a shot. That's going to be a tough conversation to make. So I think it's safe to say it'll be top 10 so far.
Well, yeah, I think majority of us agree that it delivered. Yeah, we went through the dark ages, man. I first became a fan in 2015, so I went through shitty years, aka like 2017 till like when Triple H took over, pretty much. It was not fun to watch Vince McMahon booking, but we're not in that anymore. We are in the Triple H era here. We got booking that makes sense, maybe predictable, but it's predictable as a good thing. The last things I wanted to talk about, and we'll hopefully go over this quicker because we're an hour 23 into this, but I'm just going to very briefly go over Raw. We have Gunther versus Orton. That's official for Bash at Berlin. I did not expect Orton to be his first opponent, but it makes sense. Bronson Reed killing Seth Rollins. And like Matt said, it might have been a way to write Seth off TV because he's still hurt. Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest being the super team. One of the better segments I've seen on Raw this year with the Judgment Day. They were going nuts for Priest and Rhea. Odyssey fucking Jones is finally here after getting drafted last year. He's finally on Raw. He looks like a Mark Henry copycat, but he looked very impressive. And then the Wyatt Six defeating Chad Gable's new team in a great match that honestly to me could have been freaking SummerSlam worthy, honestly, if they put that on the card. I guess what I'll briefly, say, like, I think it was one of the better Raws of the year, maybe the best Raw, a lot of people were saying. With the matches itself, we basically talked about most of the stuff, but I guess like Gunther Orton is what I'll mainly quickly talk about because I just did not expect that to be Gunther's first opponent. I expected to be a rematch with Priest, but Triple H said in that King of the Ring final that he was going to look at that botched like finish with Orton's shoulders up. And at first I was like, shit, they did forget about it. No, they didn't. They actually made a botched finish into a story, and I'm so happy they did that. In terms of like the Vince regime would have just swept it under the rug, no, they turned this into a story, and I love it, and it makes sense. And what a first defense for Gunther to be against Orton. I don't think there's any chance of the world Orton's winning that belt. I think Gunther's retaining, and I apologize to the viewers because I think I've been saying like, oh, Gunther's home country in Germany. I didn't fucking realize until recently he's from Austria. So I'm sorry. Close enough, I guess. But Gunther still might get a pop either way. But yeah, I'm very excited for the Gunther Orton match and for the rest of the stuff on Raw. Again, like I said, one of the better Raws this year. But let's go to Matt first. What did you think overall of Raw, including all these moments, especially the biggest one being Odyssey Jones, baby?
So I was taking my finals Monday, but I was able to come home like earlier, so I missed a little bit of it. I didn't get to see the whole Gunther Orton thing. You had texted me about it, so I'm glad that they are continuing. Then they're making that into the storyline. They didn't forget about that. I do like that. And it makes sense to me in a sense of Gunther is not facing Priest right away because Priest wants to kill Finn right now. So I completely understand that. I saw the whole Odyssey Jones finally debuted. I'm like, holy fuck. I've heard rumors that I think they might be making him the new Big E in the group. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I hear that he's a really funny guy and all that, but I don't think you can just say, "Oh, he's gonna replace Big E," because there's no one else like Big E. But I will say that it'll be interesting to have him in the group, though, and then maybe later on, maybe he turns on New Day. Maybe, I don't know, but. So the Wyatt 6, I did get to see that match. And yes, I completely agree. That should have been on SummerSlam. When they announced that it was happening the Monday after SummerSlam, I'm like, why don't you just have it at SummerSlam? That makes the most sense, especially considering Bray had debuted at SummerSlam on the main roster. So it would have made sense if the Wyatt 6 debuted at SummerSlam. But that wasn't the case. That being said, I love that match. I think Chad Gable got a different theme song, which I think, to me, I don't think it's just generic. I think from what I heard of it, it sort of sounded something like Kurt Angle's in a sense of like, you suck, you suck, chants. So I'm like, okay, maybe they did that so that way they could do the chants better. I'm so happy the Creed brothers are working with Chad Gable now. I think they are going to be a dominant group. The Wyatt 6 had an excellent debut. I think Rowan had the biggest pop out of his whole entire career, and the man got such a huge pop. I was so happy for him. And the whole team, everyone did so good. It just felt like a whole tribute for Bray. And then the Wyatt 6 won, and Uncle Howdy got in the ring or whatever. Sister Abigail, Nikki, and Bo, and they just they celebrate at the end of Raw, and I just was like, man, I'm sure Bray's looking down right now at them, all smiling, smiling for all of them or whatever. It was such a feel-good moment.
Oh, yes. It was a very, very feel-good moment. And, yeah, I remember people criticizing, like, yeah, the Wyatt Six was great, but they have to get in the ring and wrestle. Well, they got in the ring and wrestled and looked damn good. It was like pay-per-view quality. I think Loomis got, like, impressed me the most with the shit he was doing. He looks like so much like more athletic and fast of a wrestler. He looks different than than a few years ago when he was still doing that creepy gimmick. Like, he grew out his hair and his beard, and they look good. They look good in the ring. Obviously, Gable and the Creed brothers have a lot to do with that. They can make anybody look good, but I don't think this hurts Gable's new faction at all. It's the Wyatt Six. They ain't losing. And people compare Gable to Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle lost all the damn time, but he always stayed relevant in WWE. So I think they'll just be fine. This is just a great moment for the Wyatt Six. But Brad, final thing here in terms of Raw overall. What did you think of the show?
I watched part of it from like the New Day match, and then I saw like, fucking Odyssey Jones. I texted you. I'm like, what's this Mark Henry 2.0? I mean, but he fucking carried like two people and smacking it out. I'm like, oh shit. I think, Randy and Gunther, that's gonna be a great match. It's Basher Berlin. I don't think they don't need much story. I think it's gonna be a great match overall. I saw Big E. He was on SummerSlam. He was on the desk. I'm like, seeing Odyssey Jones there, and then the New Day had like a little segment afterwards. I'm like, it's not the same. It makes me sad. I wish Big E could be in a ring again. But we'll see. It gives the New Day something to do, so they won't be in limbo for months on end without doing nothing. The Wyatt Six match. I disagree with you, Matt. I don't think it should have been on SummerSlam. You gotta give like a good match during like the weekly shows, and man, it really delivered. Gotta give credit to Chad Gable though; he can wrestle. And the Creed brothers, I mean, they're both I think G1 like college wrestlers, but like they really transitioned well. So I gotta like give them props to them because like I was a little skeptical of the Creed brothers. I'm like, who knows? But nah, I think they're good. I think they love the business, and it gives Gable a little bit more like independence from the Alpha Academy. As much as I like it, it's not the most serious faction in the world. It's not going to bring Gable to like the main event scene that he deserves eventually. So did not hurt them one bit that they lost. And I think Triple H is going to be smart and protect the Wyatt Six. They're going to be dominant, but they're not going to be overexposed. And man, like as you said, Dylan, like every single one of them, they just look more athletic. They've definitely been training for months preparing for this, and they look ready. They look locked in. And I don't know, seeing like good old Uncle Howdy is going to lead the faction, really honor Bray Wyatt. Like I felt like this is like a real proper Bray Wyatt tribute right here. And I heard on the internet, like on Twitter, that some people were crying over it, and I don't even blame him. I think it was beautiful. Main event worthy. So I think it's important to have a good Raw after a big pay-per-view because you get a bunch of normies coming in, somewhat like me, but not really. But like real normies are coming in like, oh, what's this? And seeing something like that, it makes them want to watch the show. It grows wrestling, makes wrestling better, point blank period. So I'm pretty happy with the show. Definitely way better than a Raw after Mania. So yeah, well, it wasn't terrible, but I like this one better. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how Raw after SummerSlam delivered better than Raw after Mania. But, yeah, that's going to do it for this podcast here. An hour and 33 minutes in. Somehow not the longest podcast. That remains with my professor, Mr. Lowry Woodall, at 2 hours. But you guys were close, and I appreciate you guys for coming on here. I said this so many times to the viewers, but I apologize for the shitty quality, whether it was my echoing or Brad's glitching or just Matt moving around the house throughout the whole video. But next week, we are back to normal schedule. The past few weeks have just been chaotic, just trying to get a video out. Trying to get a video out in Conneaut for predictions took so long to load, but I'm happy I was able to get that. And then we had to try to figure out this episode to get people on. Next week, I'm back to being by myself. Sorry, Matt and Brad, you're kicked out. But we're going to go back to Raw and SmackDown reviews for the road to Bash at Berlin by myself Tuesdays at 7 o'clock on YouTube. And you can listen on Spotify. And you can check out my website here. Nice little swipe. Shoo. As you see, it is the WrestleMan with a podcast.blog to see the website and what this podcast is all about here. So, and like I said, expect the vlog to come out tomorrow night at 7 o'clock on YouTube. You guys are going to love it. But Matt, thank you for coming on.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
And Brad, thank you for coming on as well. Despite your glitchy ways, it got better at the end at least. But thank you for coming on.
Of course, it wasn't really hard where I live with you, so.
Exactly, it wasn't that hard. But have a good week, guys, and I will see you next Tuesday at 7 o'clock.